Last story of tonight, Chewie, actually is one from Sunday morning, and you weren't here with me at the start of the show. You know me in general. I don't really push back. I don't like to start fights, but I do like to speak honestly. And if you will read the promo, what's the what do you call them? The show notes for this. The show notes at the start of, like in the write-up for this on YouTube says this. Let me read it to you. Brooke van Velden probably needs to listen to some wise advice. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt, which is pretty much what happened in the weekend. I am in shock at the level of stupidity she showed. In shock. Didn't understand questions. Didn't get what Jack Tame was saying. When Jack Tame had to explain something to her, she said, "Thank you for explaining that to me," or words to that effect. Shocking. I'm going to show, and I've already said, see all the crosses out there, those crossing outs? There's so much in this. This could be an hour show just by itself. So I've actually had to cross out things that are quite important. We just don't have the time. We just don't. So this is what we're going to start with. And this first thing isn't really even, I realize what I've just said. There'll be a person or two out there that think that I'm being a prick. So I want to show you an example of what I'm talking about, okay? And this is this is an example of just her not even understanding the question. So they're setting up for a to and fro between her and Jack asks her a question about, I'll just play it. I might have the wrong one mixed up. But she doesn't understand the question. Have a look.
But we can't just stop everything every time we hear that there might be a potential red flag. Absolutely, we have to look at the evidence. It's a very developing situation, but we're only just receiving it. So I can't comment further on what we will do, but I want the time to actually get it right.
How long do you think that process will take?
Right, really important. So she's talking about to do with what are their policies. And Jack's just asked, how long do you think that will take? So he's asking, how long will it take for your policy to be enacted? That's the question, yeah?
What do you think that process will take? Just roughly. Any idea?
You're going to have to give me the time, Jack.
No. Just is it likely to be?
She thought he was doing that whole, have you got the research? Do you know what the time frame is? Meaning, it's like saying, do you know how many? She thought he was basically saying a version of how much is a bottle of milk.
We will do, but I want the time to actually get it right.
How long do you think that process will take? Just roughly. Any idea?
You're going to have to give me the time, Jack.
No. Just is it likely to be weeks or months, or any sense of things?
I'll be working through it. Like I said, it's just arrived on my desk.
Idea.
I don't know what the options and the advice.
She had no idea what he was talking about. She had no idea of the question whatsoever. And that came off the back of some questions where he was asking about workplace safety inspectors, and he was saying, how many per 100,000 do we have? And she said, we don't have those numbers to hand. And he told her, and that was actually okay, because you're not going to know everything. And so when he said, how long will that take? She thought it was the same kind of question, that there was an actual number. And so she said, well, you'll have to give me the time, meaning you obviously know I don't. And this is this minister we've got in our government, Chewie, who doesn't even understand the questions she's being asked.
I'm going on a show with potentially one of New Zealand's best interviewers. I think I might do some research about the thing that I'm on there to talk about. Maybe. I think what I've realised with Brooke van Velden is she's across her portfolios. But as soon as she gets asked about a different portfolio or a different general government question, she loses it. Like she was being asked then about, it was yesterday, being asked about migration, which is obviously Erica Stanford. And she was, she didn't have a salient answer. She couldn't answer it. And I did a clip today, people can, is it uploaded yet? Maybe. That says Chloe Swarbrick knows national policies better than Brooke van Velden. Because Chloe knew it and Chloe went for it and Brooke didn't. And it's like, as soon as she's one step removed from her immediate responsibilities, she doesn't seem to be able to function. Here's another one. And this is talking about 90-day trials. Jack Tame asked 3 times for evidence of the 90-day trials. And once again, she doesn't understand the question that Jack Tame is asking about the research. Jack Tame's asks about the research that came out when the last government did this. And she goes, oh, well, we've only been doing it since December. I mean, I haven't had a chance to read that yet. And he goes, no, the last time this was in.
Honestly, it's train wreck, and I'm only giving you. If this was a literal train wreck, I've left a gap this wide open in the car for you to see as you drive past it quickly. The rest of the train wreck in the interview, we haven't got time to look at. So this is just a slice as you drive past it at 100 kilometres an hour, the train wreck over on the thing. Here's the next bit: 90-day trials.
Healthy.
You're extending 90-day trials. You said it makes it more likely a firm will take a punt on hiring a worker. What evidence do you have that the 90-day trial period...
Can I just say, Ministers of the Crown, if you're not prepared yet for this question, the what evidence question, then you shouldn't be doing this, because Jack Tame does this to everyone.
Increase firms' overall hiring?
Well, it's part of building back business confidence. We heard that businesses want this government to be a government of action and to back them.
Heard a question,
So what
answer?
evidence do you have that they
Well, the
work?
evidence that I had did come through MB. The only perceived threat of the policy was a perception
Haven't
of
had an answer yet,
people
by the way.
that it would make their work arrangements more precarious.
No,
that
but
was a
my question was,
perceived threat. It wasn't an
my
actual
question was, what
threat.
evidence do you have that it works?
Well, I know from talking to people up and down New Zealand, just this week, I had someone phone me up and he
She
said,
admits
yeah,
it.
my business can't wait to use
She
this.
admits
Just
it's anecdotal.
anecdotal evidence.
Anecdotal evidence, but also we have a very, very strong consultation period through the election where so many businesses said, this is what we want.
But that's anecdotal. So last time it was in effect, of course, Treasury commissioned a study on the policy. Did you read that?
I did, but this has been since December that we've made this policy.
Yeah, right. So
what
but
he's
Treasury
talking about.
commissioned a study on the policy when it was last in place under the previous national government. Treasury said, quote, "We find no evidence that the ability to use trial periods significantly increases firms' overall hiring. We estimate the policy effect to be as statistically and economically insignificant." What did the study miss?
Well, I think it missed the fact that businesses want us to build back their confidence.
But this is
If
an
you think of-
evidence-based study. They've actually looked at the numbers as opposed to just getting vibes from businesses.
Yeah, but what I'd say, if you look at the
Did you get that, Chewie? I think Jack's been watching.
Vibes.
You see what he said?
Vibes.
I think he's been watching.
us to build back their confidence.
But this is
If
an
you think of-
evidence-based study. They've actually looked at the numbers as opposed to just getting vibes from businesses.
Yeah, but what I'd say, if you look at those numbers, is yes, a lot of people do use 90-day trials, but it doesn't mean that they actually fire people, This gives them the confidence to take
If you look
on
at the,
somebody.
sorry, we find no evidence that the ability to use trial periods significantly increases firms' overall hiring. That, as a bottom line, suggests that the policy doesn't do what you say it will.
Well, I think it will.
Boom. That's your
Jack,
evidence.
Jack,
I think it will.
Stop, Jack. She's already dead.
But did you hear what she just... This is the thing. This is what she said. I think it will. I think it will. Vote National 2027. I think it will.
I think it will have evidence. to
This
show
is from a
in-
study
in the
commissioned by
future.
Treasury from when it was last in place.
Well, if you
Watch
look at
Jack's
what this
face.
government wants to do, we want to build back business confidence.
Mm.
Businesses told us before the election that there were a few policies that they wanted us to work on, getting rid of the fair pay agreements, making sure that we were reinstating 90-day trials for all businesses, and also making sure that we are changing those very small compliance issues
Struggling.
that businesses face every day. Things
Struggling.
like the Holidays Act, which we are also doing to make sure that any business and worker knows what their obligations and rights are and are getting paid in accordance with the law. When it comes to 90-day trials, they already existed under Labor with small businesses. If it was right for the small businesses, I see no need why big businesses were carved out of it. If it worked for them, it works for everyone.
One last question.
So if you
That
haven't
is
seen this
just-
before, do you now see what I'm
God.
saying about the I mean, I watched Jack
There's so
Tame's
much
face.
there, Pat.
Yeah, I know. And this is one small snippet of a 31-minute interview. You know, they say time flies when you're having fun. I watched it and it felt like 7 years in Tibet. She just doesn't get it. I mean, look, this is not slam Brooke van Velden week, but we said this last night. She is beyond her depth. She is out beyond her depth. She's out of her depth. She's beyond her skill set. This is when you get okay. Would you like an inexperienced brain surgeon? Probably not. Would you like an inexperienced pilot? Yeah, probably not. How about an inexperienced MP who is now a minister who is going to affect changes in part of a coalition government for the rest of time in this country? Probably not.
There's so much to take out of it. Like, oh, we want to build back business confidence. Every time there's a business confidence survey, I can tell you how it's going to go. If National are in power, whether they're doing good or not, business confidence goes up. When Labor's in, and they're trying to look after the workers, whether they're successful or not, business confidence goes down. It's so fucking predictable, and it's based on nothing.
Yeah.
Business confidence is not based on any other metric other than how do you feel about the government right now. It's ridiculous that this is a metric for coming up with a policy. And then you've got things like people have told me, I had a phone call, businesses told us that they want this thing. Well, have people told you that they want fair pay? Have people told you that they're struggling to pay their mortgages and feed their kids?
Have people told you that they want to get rid of smoke-free 2025? What about that one?
It's if it wasn't so goddamn infuriating, it'd be laughable.
Yeah. I actually give Jack some credit here. I really do sense that at times the smirk on his face was visible. And I don't think he was being a dick. I think that some of the stuff coming out of her mouth, remember I said this last night, this is not slam Brooke van Velden week, but she comes across as someone who is a teenager playing the role of, even the way she speaks. It's almost, and she's affected a particular way of speaking, where if you were doing the secondary school play, I would be the politician. And this is
she does
how
speak
I
like
would
a
do.
teacher.
And this is what I need. And then she flipped from there into 50s housewife. It's infuriating. And the thing is, at the moment, it is kind of dangerous. People make laws, people make changes, and you've already said it once, Chewie. I don't want to criticize Jack at all because I can just see the number of times. Like there was one point where he asked a question 3 times and he just had to move on. But what wasn't said and what needs to be said to her is, which businesses have you been talking to that want 90-day trials? Because it might be interesting to see who has been tugging on the ear of ACT and who hasn't been. Like which ones are the ones wanting to get rid of fair pay agreements and bring back 90? Who are those businesses? Because when you say I've been talking to businesses, what would there be? 10,000 businesses in New Zealand? You've spoken to 4? Like what 100? Who have you spoken to?
Let's talk about 90-day trials, right? Because there she said that if it works for small businesses, then there's no reason why it shouldn't be extended to bigger businesses. Like that shows just a foundational lack of understanding about the challenges that small business has compared to a larger business, right? Like if you are a sole owner operator with one location and you have 4 staff and you hire someone and maybe you didn't do a fantastic job screening them or whatever. Or maybe you just employed a dud. Like that's, you got 4 staff on the floor. That's like a quarter of your workforce is not pulling its weight. And I do not like 90-day terms at all for anybody, but I can see the benefit there. Yeah. I can see that there is a situational thing of like, well, we tried, it didn't work out. This guy's got to go. And there's got to be a pathway to make that acceptable. If you're a business that has 150, 200 employees, employing a dud and having to manage that person out of the business is very doable. It's just you need to make sure you're ticking the boxes so that you don't exploit someone. So you don't weaponize a thing of like, well, fuck, I only needed someone to get me through the busy period and now I don't want to keep them on. So I'm going to out the door. I don't have to tell you shit. I don't have to make sure that I did this, that, and the other thing. You're gone, boy. And as with anything, the power in this is overwhelmingly with the employer. And of course, business doesn't like that. They want to be in the more powerful position. Things like I can't believe she said business doesn't want fair pay. agreements. What a sentence. What a sentence to say out loud. Of course they don't. You know, they don't want increases to minimum wage. They don't want more holidays. They don't want anything that means that they're doing more for the worker.
Yeah. They're not hiding it, eh?
This is why
they're not hiding who they're fighting for. They're not hiding. It's just, I mean,
for a party that is so anti-unions, what they don't realize is when there is a government in power that is pro-worker and making sure that these protections are in sight, unions aren't needed as much, and their membership tends to go down. And then when these guys go in and they're like, "We're going after the worker," union membership goes up because they know, oh fuck, the government doesn't have our back. Holy shit, we need something to redress the balance.
All right, let's do the last part about this. And we actually read a bit of a transcript of this last night from a particular quote-unquote left writer. And this is, and I just ask you to watch Jack's face again with these questions, because when you ask someone a question that you know they're going to either have to basically say all of our policies make no sense or lie, then they choose lie. I think you can see that on Jack's face. Have a watch of this.
Are you still the only MP with an economics degree? Or is there another one? I haven't gone through the qualifications of every single new MP. Is there anyone else?
We have no. I'm not sure cross Parliament.
Yeah.
This is called set him up and knock him down. This is what this is.
I know that with an ACT, we've managed to bring in Andrew
Look at the eyes.
Hogarth,
He's like, I've got it.
and he has an economics degree as well. So we are doubling the efforts with an ACT.
Okay, with that in mind, with your economics qualifications in mind, our income tax right now, our income tax cuts right now in the best interests of lowering inflation?
I think they are. I think they are for all of those New Zealanders who have really, really, really been struggling. If you look at this from a wider context, we know that businesses have suffered. There's been high inflation, absolutely. But if you think of every New Zealander when they're going out of their house for work every day, they are finding it harder and harder to actually make ends meet.
So how does giving them more money lower inflation?
So giving them a little bit more money in their own back pockets makes it easier to keep up with that rising cost of living.
Yes, but that doesn't. My question is, how does that lower inflation?
Well, lowering inflation, actually, that's the role of government overall.
Let's go back to my question. Our income tax cuts right now in the best interest of lowering inflation was my question.
I think you can have both. You can have the government pare
My
back.
question is it in the best
spending,
interests of lowering inflation?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We can have Kiwis who are working really hard have a few more dollars in their own back pockets for getting up and going to work every week to provide for their families, while as a whole government, we cut back on resourcing and we cut back on government spending, because that has a huge inflationary effect. So you don't have to cut back everything. I take that, but you can have a balance. And we're rebalancing away from huge government spending and allowing more New Zealanders to have more of their own money.
Brooke van Velden.
So what she basically said is, you'll get $2 more a week in your packet, and for that, we're going to cut this massive amount of public spending and stuff. But you get $2, but now you're going to have to spend $20 a week on buses for your kids. So we're going to cut that funding to the public transport, but we're going to give you $2 back. So. Yeah. So there you go, Chewie. There's the conversation we read about last night to do with the inflation question.
That is such an easy get. Yes, tax cuts are inflationary. That's you can sort of go, yes, they're inflationary. They're worth the risk. You know, there's things that you can do, but adding more money to the economy is generally inflationary.
Yeah, more money.
I don't have an economics degree, but that's fucking how that works.
Don't talk yourself down. You definitely have an economics disease, Chewie, without question. Without question, you have an economics disease.